AITA for refusing to let my sister and her kids move into my house after she temporarily lost hers, even though I have more than enough space. I, 34F, live in a 4-bedroom house that I bought about 3 years ago after saving for almost a decade. It's my dream home, quiet neighborhood, big backyard, lots of natural light, and it's close to my job. I live here with my fiancé, 36M, and our 2 dogs. We don't have kids yet, but we plan to in the next couple of years. My sister, Tara, 31F, has always had a rougher time financially. She has 2 kids, 7 and 9, and she's been on her own since her ex left about 5 years ago. I've helped her a lot in that time, babysitting, helping with rent, paying for school supplies, and sometimes groceries. I never minded because she's my sister, but it's been a recurring theme that she makes impulsive choices and expects others to bail her out. Last year, she was renting a house, but she decided to stop working full-time so she could focus on being a better mom. She started doing part-time gig work, but it wasn't nearly enough to cover her rent. I warned her repeatedly that she couldn't afford to quit her job without a solid plan. She told me she'd figure out because things always work out somehow. Spoiler, they didn't. About 2 months ago, she called me crying because she was behind on rent again, and her landlord had given her a notice. She asked if she and the kids could stay with me for a few weeks until she got back on her feet. I hesitated, but said I needed to talk with my fiancé first. He was sympathetic, but cautious. He knows my sister and how temporary with her often means indefinitely. I told Tara we'd agree only if she gave us a clear plan, like what her next steps would be, how long she'd stay, and how she'd contribute while she was here. She got offended and said, "You're seriously making me justify needing a roof over my kids' heads?" She came over the next day anyway, acting like it was already settled. She brought bags, toys, and boxes and started unloading them in my guest room before I even said yes. I stopped her and said she couldn't move in until we agreed on the terms. She stormed off, calling me heartless. A week later, she moved in with a mutual friend. That friend lasted less than 3 weeks before kicking her out because, according to her, Tara wasn't contributing anything. She didn't help clean, she didn't buy groceries, and she complained about every little thing. Cue another crying call from Tara. This time, she said she and the kids were staying in a cheap motel and that she was officially desperate. She said her friend had betrayed her and she had nowhere else to go. Then she said something that really rubbed me the wrong way. "You have a whole house with empty rooms and a fiancé who makes good money. You can afford to help us for a while." I told her I wasn't comfortable taking her in without a clear plan or timeline. I even offered to pay for 2 weeks at the motel and help her look for affordable apartments or rental assistance programs. She called me a selfish snob and hung up on me. A few days later, my mom called, saying Tara had told her I was letting my niece and nephew live out of a car while I hoarded space. My mom was furious and said I should be ashamed. I told her that I'd offered help in other ways, but that letting Tara move in would turn into a permanent arrangement. Mom said, "She's your sister. Family comes before comfort." That hit a nerve. I grew up in a family where family first was used as an excuse to ignore boundaries. My parents often took in relatives who never contributed or respected anyone's space. As a kid, I remember constantly sharing my room, losing privacy, and having to tiptoe around freeloading cousins. I swore when I got older, I'd have my own space and peace, and I wouldn't let anyone guilt me into giving that up. My fiancé supports my decision, but worries it's driving a wedge between me and my family. My mom barely talks to me now except to make guilt-laden comments like, "Your nieces are such good kids. It's a shame they don't have an aunt who cares." Tara blocked me on everything, but occasionally sends texts through my mom's phone about how karma always comes back. Part of me feels like I'm standing up for myself for the first time in years. Another part of me feels awful thinking of my niece and nephew in a motel or possibly sleeping in a car. I genuinely love them. I've even considered offering to take just the kids for a bit, but I know that would create even more drama. Tara would take it as an insult or accuse me of trying to take her kids away. I've gone back and forth about this so many times. My fiancé says it's not our responsibility to fix her life, especially when she keeps making bad choices and refusing to take accountability. But when I think of the kids, it's hard not to feel like I'm punishing them for her mistakes. My mom keeps bringing up how she took me in when I lost my first apartment in my 20s, but that was for 2 weeks, and I had a job, a plan, and I paid her rent while I stayed. It wasn't even remotely the same situation. A few nights ago, my mom sent me a long message saying I'd let the family down and that she was disappointed in the kind of person success has turned me into. That one hurt. I worked incredibly hard to get to where I am, and it feels like none of that matters. All anyone sees is that I have more and therefore should give it away without limits. I don't think Tara is a bad person, but she refuses to take responsibility for anything. Every problem in her life is someone else's fault. Her boss, her ex, her landlord, now me. I've helped her so many times before, and it's never been enough to make her change. I just can't keep sacrificing my peace and stability for someone who won't even try to help herself. Still, I can't shake the guilt. Maybe I should have just let them stay for a little while, even if it made me uncomfortable. Maybe that's what family really means, not setting conditions when someone's desperate. Or maybe I'm right to protect what I've built, even if everyone else thinks that makes me heartless. So, AITA for refusing to let my sister and her kids move in with me, even though I have space and money to help. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps the content grow and motivates me to create even more great videos. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any new uploads. By the way, I'm curious, when do you usually watch my videos? While working, studying, or just relaxing at home? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for your support. AITA for refusing to attend my brother's wedding after he made my daughter's trauma into a joke during his speech rehearsal. I, 36F, have a younger brother, Mark, 33M, who has always been the funny one in the family. He's charming, charismatic, and has this effortless way of making people laugh. But sometimes that humor crosses the line, and when it does, he tends to brush it off as just a joke. For context, I'm a single mom to my daughter, Lily, 14F. Her dad and I divorced when she was 7. The split was ugly. He cheated, disappeared for a few years, and resurfaced only after Lily was diagnosed with anxiety and depression. She's doing much better now after therapy and time, but she's still sensitive about certain topics, especially anything related to abandonment or being made fun of in public. Mark is getting married in a few weeks to his fiancée, Sarah, 31F. I like her. She's kind, thoughtful, and honestly seems too good for him sometimes. She's tried to smooth things over between us more than once when Mark's humor rubbed me the wrong way. Last weekend, my parents hosted a small family dinner so everyone could go over wedding details. Mark decided to do a practice speech, basically a stand-up comedy routine about the family that he planned to use at the rehearsal dinner. He's always liked to roast people, and usually we laugh along even when it's mildly uncomfortable. But this time, things went too far. He started with harmless jokes about Dad's obsession with golf and Mom's overcooked casseroles. Everyone laughed. Then he looked at me and smirked, saying something like, "And my big sister, the responsible one, the mom who has everything under control, except her dating life." I mean, after what happened with Lily's dad, can you blame her? Poor Lily probably thinks all men vanish after dessert. The room went silent. Lily froze in her seat, her face going pale. I immediately told him that wasn't funny, but he just shrugged and said, "Oh, come on, it's just a joke. Lighten up, it's not that deep." Lily quietly excused herself and went to the bathroom. I followed her, and she was crying quietly, the way she does when she's trying to hide it. She said she didn't want to go to the wedding anymore. When I came back, I told Mark that he crossed a line and that making fun of a 14-year-old's trauma was cruel. He rolled his eyes and said, "You're raising her to be too sensitive." It was a joke. Everyone's got issues. My parents tried to calm things down, saying he didn't mean it and that he just has a bad sense of humor sometimes. But I told them that intention doesn't erase impact, especially when hurt a child. After that, I texted Sarah privately that night. I told her that unless Mark apologized directly to Lily, we wouldn't be attending the wedding. She apologized profusely and said she'd talk to him. The next morning, I got a text from Mark. Not an apology, but a sarcastic message saying, "Sorry your kid can't take a joke. Don't worry, I'll make sure the mic at the wedding is child safe." That sealed it for me. I replied that Lily and I would not be attending and that I wished him and Sarah the best, but we needed to protect our peace. Now, it's been about a week, and my family is furious. My parents think I'm ruining his big day over something that was just words. My mom called me yesterday crying, saying that Mark's devastated I won't be there, that people will notice, and that it will cause gossip. My dad said I'm being dramatic and should teach Lily resilience instead of sheltering her. I told him resilience doesn't come from being humiliated by family members, especially adults who should know better. My mom tried to guilt trip me, saying that she had already told everyone I'd be doing a reading during the ceremony, and now they'll have to explain why I'm not there. Even Sarah reached out again, apologizing and saying she talked to Mark but that he's stressed and doesn't know how to apologize without making things worse. She asked me to reconsider for the sake of family harmony. I told her I appreciated her kindness, but that I couldn't in good conscience bring Lily somewhere she feels unsafe or mocked. Now I'm getting messages from cousins and relatives saying I'm being selfish, that weddings are about forgiveness and unity, and that I'm letting a teenager dictate family decisions. Some even said Lily needs to learn the real world doesn't revolve around her feelings. I don't think it's selfish to choose my daughter's well-being over an event where she'd have to see the person who mocked her pain. I've spent years helping her rebuild trust after being abandoned by her father, and in one careless moment, Mark reopened that wound. I'm not going to force her to smile through that for the sake of appearances. Still, I can't help feeling conflicted. Sarah truly doesn't deserve to be caught in the middle, and I don't want to create drama on their wedding day. Part of me wonders if I should just suck it up, go to the ceremony, and leave right after, but then I think about Lily's face that night, the way her hands shook as she tried not to cry, and I know she'd never feel comfortable. Mark keeps posting on social media about how people can't take jokes anymore and how the world is too soft. I haven't responded, but every time I see it, it reinforces my decision. My parents, though, keep calling me, saying I'm turning the family against each other. Maybe I could have handled it differently. Maybe I should have waited until after the wedding to address it, but I feel like attending would send Lily the message that her feelings don't matter, that it's okay for family to hurt her, and then laugh it off. I love my brother, despite everything, but right now, I'm deeply disappointed in him. I want to believe he'll grow up one day and understand why this was wrong. But until then, I can't prioritize his comfort over my daughter's safety and mental health. So, am I the asshole for refusing to attend my brother's wedding after his joke about my daughter's trauma? AITA for refusing to let my sister move back in with me after she blew up my engagement and said she did me a favor. So for context, I, 29F, own a small house that I bought about 3 years ago after finally getting a stable job. My younger sister, Leah, 25F, has always been the free spirit of the family. She's bounced from job to job, lived with boyfriends, then with friends, then back with my parents, and at one point with me. I love her, but she's exhausting. She's charming and funny and can talk her way out of almost anything, which unfortunately means she rarely takes responsibility for her actions. 2 years ago, Leah lost her apartment and begged to stay with me just for a few weeks. I said yes because she was family and I didn't want her to be homeless. I had just started dating my now ex-fiancé, Daniel, 31M, at the time. Leah and Daniel got along fine at first, though I could tell she liked the attention she got from him. She's the kind of person who always needs to be the center of the room, and Daniel, being polite, would laugh at her stories and banter with her. I didn't think anything of it. The few weeks turned into 8 months. During that time, Leah didn't pay rent or utilities and would occasionally buy groceries, but mostly for herself. She'd borrow my clothes, use my expensive shampoo, leave dishes everywhere, and throw parties when I was at work. Every time I tried to talk to her about boundaries, she'd get defensive and say I was being controlling or uptight. When Daniel and I got engaged, Leah made this huge show about how we grew up so fast and how she couldn't believe her big sister was settling down. She said it in this joking tone, but it stung. She made similar little digs about how Daniel's too serious or I can't imagine you married to a guy who doesn't like karaoke. I brushed it off because I didn't want to create drama. Then, about a month before the wedding, everything imploded. One Saturday night, Daniel came over to my house while I was at my friend's bridal shower. Leah was supposed to be out with her friends, but she came home early. According to Daniel, she asked him to help her carry some heavy boxes from her car. He did. Then she offered him a drink as a thank you. He declined. She kept pressing. He said no again. Then she apparently started venting about how uptight I'd become and how different I was since we got engaged. Daniel said he told her that was unfair and that he was proud of how hard I worked. Leah laughed and said, "You'll see the real her eventually. Here's where things get messy." Leah later told me her version, that Daniel flirted with her first and that she felt uncomfortable. But when I pressed for details, she kept changing her story. Daniel swore nothing happened and that Leah came on to him. He even showed me texts she sent him later that night, saying things like, "I can keep a secret if you can," and "You don't have to marry her if you're not sure." I confronted Leah. She flipped out, saying Daniel was twisting everything and that she was just testing him for my own good. Her exact words were, "I wanted to make sure he was loyal. You should thank me." I couldn't even respond. I told her to pack her stuff and leave immediately. She cried, called me heartless, and said I was choosing a man over family. Daniel was furious at her, but honestly, the whole ordeal left me shaken. We tried to move on, but I couldn't. I kept wondering what kind of person does that, and why I didn't see it sooner. The tension and mistrust eventually eroded our relationship. We called off the wedding 6 months later. Fast forward to last month. Leah reached out of nowhere, saying she's starting over after a breakup and asking if she could stay with me just until she finds a new place. She promised she's grown and learned from her mistakes. I told her no. I was polite but firm. I said I hoped she found somewhere safe, but that I couldn't live with her again after what happened. She blew up my phone for days. Then my parents got involved. My mom thinks I'm being petty and that family forgives. My dad said he understands why I'm hurt, but that I should be the bigger person. Leah herself sent me this long text about how I've changed and that I'm punishing her forever for one mistake. Here's where I might be the asshole. I told her that it wasn't one mistake. It was months of disrespect, manipulation, and betrayal, and that I have zero interest in reopening that wound. She started crying over the phone, saying she's broke and living in her car. I told her there are shelters and friends she can reach out to. Now the rest of my family is angry. My mom said she's ashamed I'd let my own sister live in her car when I have a whole extra room sitting empty. My aunt texted me saying I owe Leah compassion because blood is thicker than water. For what it's worth, I'm not rich. I work full-time, and I'm still paying off debt from the canceled wedding. The empty room is now my office and storage. I've also been in therapy trying to rebuild trust and boundaries after everything that happened. The thought of Leah in my house again gives me actual anxiety. But I can't lie. Part of me feels guilty. She's still my sister. I don't want her to be homeless, but I also can't risk letting her wreck my peace again. My mom says I'm bitter and that forgiveness means giving people another chance. I told her forgiveness doesn't have to mean giving someone access to you again. That just made her angrier. Now family group chats are a mess. Some relatives think I'm right and that Leah has to face consequences. Others think I'm cruel and holding a grudge. Leah herself keeps posting vague things on social media about fake people who pretend to be saints but turn their backs on family. Last night, my mom called again and said Leah's been sleeping in her car for 3 nights, and she begged me to reconsider. I told her I can't, and she hung up on me. Now I feel sick about it. So, AITA for refusing to let my sister move back in, even though she has nowhere else to go?